What's up everyone, welcome to the channel. Today's going to be a pretty simple video where I just go over the default output for MetaGen on TGD. If you don't know what that is, MetaGen is an AI tool that I built that will look at all the stats in the game and kind of try to calculate the meta out based on what we know about what is most important, and it weights everything appropriately. And the power of MetaGen is that you can customize it for yourself. You don't have to just use the default values. You can say, hey, I care about time to kill. I want really fast time to kill, but I don't care about the other stats. You can weight time to kill really fast and lower the other stats, and you can do that for pretty much any stat in the game. So that's the power of MetaGen. But today we're just going to go over the default output from MetaGen. It's going to be a shorter video. I'm just going to kind of talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of different weapons and why they come out where they come out. I'm not going to do too much comparison outside of that. So let's jump into it and we will compare these weapons. Alright, so I want to mention right off the bat, you can see that the AMR9 here shows the Jack BFB with the Tectonic Micro Integral Suppressor. Those two attachments are incompatible. They cannot be attached at the same time, but we are working on that. That should be finished hopefully either today or tomorrow, so MetaGen will no longer have impossible combinations listed as the best option here. I know that's been happening for a while, and I apologize for that. It's just been kind of annoying to code, but I think we've got it finished now. So we're going to start with the BP50. This is the new assault rifle that actually makes a decent SMG. Anything over 9 is pretty good. Anything over like 9.5 is really good. So 9.2, it's usable, but it's not going to be ideal. So it's a pretty good gun, but it's held back by the fact that it has that longer sprint to fire that assault rifles typically have. So sprint to fire is the time from when you're sprinting and you pull the trigger or press the mouse button to actually fire the weapon. So there's a delay with all the weapons in the game, but SMGs tend to have much lower sprint to fire time, which means that the bullet gets fired quicker. And obviously MetaGen takes every stat in the game into account, so it thinks about that kind of thing. And you know, it says that, oh well, in these situations that's really important to have good sprint to fire for SMG fights. So that is why it kind of ranks these a little lower. AMR9 is the exact same reason. AMR9 has assault rifle sprint to fire times for some reason. It doesn't have the SMG quick sprint to fire. So I think I've got it weighted a little bit incorrectly right now in MetaGen. It needs to be more like sprint to fire is like included in the time to kill rather than being a totally separate stat that's considered. So I'm going to be working on this. I'm going to be, you know, tweaking MetaGen, making it better as we go. And I think that that is going to be one of the next things that I work on, because I think both of these should be a little higher up than they are. In the silver position, we have the WSP Swarm. This was obviously the meta weapon for a long time for close range. It's still very good, 9.52. Like I said, anything over 9.5 in MetaGen is a extremely competitive option. It's very easy to use because it has that super forgiving fast fire rate. The builds are over on the right. Obviously, these are the MetaGen default output builds, and they tend to be pretty good. They'll get you very close to what the best is going to be. In the gold position here, we have the Core 45. This is with the XRK IPv2 conversion kit. This is the one that has like the binary trigger where it fires once when you press it down and fires when you let off. So it's difficult to use. It's very unforgiving because if you don't hit that max fire rate, then obviously the time to kill on the chart is not what you're going to get. Whereas these automatic weapons, you just hold the trigger down and you'll get that time to kill. So hard to use, but it is very, very good if you can master it. It also has a lot of vertical recoil. In the platinum position, we have the new Ram 9. This is the new SMG for Season 2. It's a very good weapon. But again, it's like the AMR9 and the BP50 where the sprint to fire time is bad. For some reason, it has a really high default sprint to fire time, and that is the only thing that's holding it back. It has super competitive time to kill. It does have a little shorter damage range than some of the other options, but it's really just the sprint to fire time that's holding this back from being basically the top weapon right now. So I think it's interesting that they're trying to use sprint to fire time to balance the SMGs. In past games, they didn't really do that. It was all just everything else. Like the default sprint to fire time was basically the same for all the SMGs in Warzone 1. So it's interesting that they're kind of mixing that in now to balance out these SMGs. In the diamond position, we have the Striker 9. Not a lot to say about this. It has really, really easy recoil. That's one of the big benefits that it has. Semi-competitive time to kill, and it's just super, super easy to use weapon overall. So that's why it kind of comes out here in a 9.7 out of 10. Really, really good rating. In the crimson position, we have the WSP9 at 9.97. You can see that this is 0.03 away from being the top weapon from MetaGen. It's a great weapon. It has open bolt delay though. So open bolt delay is basically the delay from when you pull the trigger to when the weapon fires. So this actually has an added open bolt delay. None of the other SMGs have that right now. And it kind of makes up for it though, because it has one of the best sprint to fire times. So if you think about it, in situations where you're sprinting, if it just has sprint to fire with no open bolt delay, then it's just the sprint to fire time to when that first bullet comes out, when you press the trigger. whereas the WSP9 has open bolt delay plus sprint to fire time. So it's going to be the sprint to fire time plus the open bolt delay is how long it takes for that bullet to come out. And it's kind of interesting that they also gave it fast sprint to fire speed. So it's going to be, it's going to kind of make up for the fact that it has that open bolt delay with the really fast sprint to fire time. So it's a very competitive weapon. It's just going to be a little weird. It's a little slower fire rate. A lot of these weapons have very high fire rates, which makes them very forgiving. If you ever accidentally miss a shot and you get back on the target after that, it means the next bullet's going to land very quickly with a high fire rate weapon. WSP9 is the slowest fire rate weapon on here, so you have to kind of keep that in mind. But 9.97, all the stats that it has make it a super, super competitive option for close range. In first place, in the iridescent spot on MetaGen, we still have the HRM9. This was the best before Season 2, and it is still the best now. They nerfed it. It lost about 4 meters of damage range in the first drop-off, so it used to be about 16 meters. Now it's down to about 12 meters for that first damage drop-off. But even with that, it is still an extremely competitive weapon. It's still, obviously, MetaGen still thinks it's number 1, so overall, still a great choice. Alright, so I've taken what I think are the top 5 weapons, and we're going to compare them on the time to kill chart. So we've got the HRM in red, the WSP9 in orange, the Striker 9 in the cyan color, and then Ram 9 in green, and yellow is the AMR 9. So these are extremely good weapons. All 5 of them are competitive with each other. Right off the bat, you can see that the AMR 9 looks like it's the best, this yellow line here. But if you include sprint to fire time, like I said when I was talking about the weapon, it has slower sprint to fire time. So in situations where you're sprinting and you have to fire immediately, the AMR 9 is going to get much worse than it originally looks. It's still very competitive. You can see there's only one weapon on here that's actually beating it, including sprint to fire time, and that is the HRM. The other 3 are actually tied with the AMR, even when including sprint to fire time. So I do think it's highly competitive, especially when you build it for sprint to fire speed. So keep that in mind. If I turn off open bolt delay, as I mentioned before, the WSP9 has really bad open bolt delay. None of the other weapons have that. So in situations where open bolt delay does not matter, the WSP9 actually comes out on top in terms of time to kill, all the way out to 19 meters. So something to keep in mind. When you turn on open bolt delay and sprint to fire, it kind of matches the AMR 9 because it has much better sprint to fire than the AMR 9, but it also does have that open bolt delay. So just something to keep in mind there. If we turn all these off and just look at the base weapons in order, in the first damage range, we have AMR 9, 576, Ram 9 at 585, WSP 9 at 600, HRM at 612, and then Striker at 630. So Striker probably has the easiest recoil, but you can see that it just has short damage range and not great time to kill. The HRM is just consistently good. It has long damage range, 13.5 meters with this build. But something I do want to mention is the Ram 9. So the Ram 9, if we use the shots to kill tool, so this is a tool on TGD that will help you understand how hitting different shot locations changes the time to kill. If we look at this, you can see that it only takes 1 headshot to reduce the time to kill off of chest, and it has a really big chest hitbox. So let's scroll up and look at the hitbox really quick. The chest hitbox is gigantic, so you're always going to be hitting the chest hitbox. It's going to be the most common time to kill for sure, but then in that first damage range out to 10.2 meters, it only takes this 1 headshot to reduce the time to kill down to 520. So let's modify this chart we're on combination shot percentage, so let's modify the chart to have a little bit more headshots. Let's do 25% headshot, and then let's just do 0% lower leg, because that's going to be pretty common. And then you can see if I do that, the Ram 9 in green here all of a sudden takes the lead by a mile in the first damage range. If I include sprint to fire, it still has the lead over these other options. If I include open bolt delay, the WSP9 goes away. So in situations where you hit 1 singular headshot with the Ram 9, it is going to be the fastest time to kill up close. And I think that's going to be probably a reason that a lot of people are going to gravitate towards this weapon, because it's competitive without that, and then you get that, and all of a sudden it's the fastest. And we find time and time again with close range meta since the beginning of Warzone, people gravitate towards the things that feel easy to use to start with, and then over time, the community discovers what has fast time to kill, and we've always transitioned towards that from the beginning of Warzone. So I expect that the Ram 9 is going to be very competitive. It's just that sprint to fire time that really holds it back. So with all these things considered, what do I think the meta is? I would say HRM 9, Ram 9, AMR 9, all 3 of those are basically tied. They have different pros and cons between the 3 of them. Ram 9 is going to have the fastest time to kill in a lot of situations because of that headshot issue. AMR 9 has the longest damage range of the 3 and really fast time to kill, but it does have bad sprint to fire time. The HRM 9 is basically a normal SMG where it has fast sprint to fire time fast time to kill, and it's the competitive one with a little bit more damage range than the Ram 9. So I think all three of those are the top three. I'm not going to pick a best of the three. I think they're all three fantastic. And then in fourth place, I would give the WSP 9, and then I would say the Striker 9 after that. The Striker 9 is very easy to use, but it just competitively, like with time to kill and things like that, the WSP 9 just beats it out a little bit, in my opinion. All right, everybody, that's it. I just wanted to show you guys what I think about the close range meta currently. I do want to make one change. So MetaGen had a blocked muzzle. It had the Jack BFB on the AMR9. We're going to swap that for 50 round mag. Like I said, we're working on that right now with MetaGen. That should hopefully be fixed in the next couple days. But yeah, those are what I think the top 5 weapons are, and ranked them in order. As always, if you guys want to support, the best way to support is a direct subscription to the True Game Data website or the apps. We have native apps now for Android and iOS, and you can get subscriptions through that as well. These give you access to MetaGen, the True TTK simulation, best stat tool, all the advanced features on TGD, and it just directly supports us the best. I really, really appreciate those subscriptions because they make it so I don't have to make, you know, sensationalist clickbait thumbnails and just content in general. I can just be honest with you guys because I have a separate source of income. I don't have to try to push the YouTube channel, you know, like a lot of people do. So I really appreciate that, and I want to thank you guys for all the support as always, and we will see you in the next video.